Thank you for listening to SSB Wannabes. Make sure you keep up to date by following us on Twitter at SSB_Wannabes with 1E. Sometimes our schedule gets the best of us and we can't record when we want to, so keep your eyes on Twitter and you'll always know when the new episode is up. Anyway, enjoy the show.
Hi everyone, this is episode 21 of the SSB Wannabes podcast. My name is JD.
What's up? My name's Will, or Wasabi.
Yeah, and we got some stuff to talk about. What an intro, right?
Yeah.
That's the good stuff. So we actually do have a lot of news. Well, I know we had our weeks to go over all that, but do you want to just start with the new local in New York City that was announced? The most pressing news?
Yeah. Let's start with that quickly.
So Hacks went on. I mean, this is something we've been talking about for a while. It's been, rumored, but pretty much confirmed for a long time. We're going to be at Alien Gang in Manhattan.
So it's this PC cafe, and what's interesting is that one, it has to be capped, just because of the space, but two, it's going to be the first dolphin tournament, which is going to be really interesting. So obviously LP happening right now, which is these like from console. Personally, I hear there's always going to be lag on that actually, but I'm not one to really test things out, so I'm just saying what I've heard. But this is going to be on Dolphin, so it's definitely going to be really interesting the first few weeks there as we're trying to figure out, as people are trying to figure out, the best buffer and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be different, obviously, and I hate to say experimental. They're having one tournament that's definitely experimental. That's this Wednesday, where they're trying to just run it and see how it goes. Pre-reg only, and just kind of see what problems and fix them for when they go to the first iteration. This is going to be event 0, as he says. And there's going to be a reveal trailer on Friday. So It's really exciting. I mean, I think there's obviously a lot of energy behind it. The post got 300 likes. There's been people who've been, everyone in New York City has been dying for a local for so long that this one is definitely, couldn't come sooner. And that means a lot of people are looking forward to it. And it might change just how our region operates. It has the potential to be a new hub, just like Nebs.
Yeah.
And that's really exciting. That's great.
I mean, and he's, DJ is commentating, and we'll be there for commentary. We'll have Ipengu doing commentary as well, streams being run by Jeremy, so it's definitely top tier group for sure.
Yeah, the team is absolutely capable of making this one of the best, and I think we've been talking about it for a long time because they've been making a lot of different decisions. So this was not a rushed type event. This was something that they've really made sure that they had everything lined up the way they wanted it. Spearheaded by Hacks, of course. It's called Hacks' Nightclub.
Yep.
And I mean, look, this is the future, right? So he addresses some of the issues that CRTs have, which is transporting and setting up and the space. And realistically, that's a huge deal. The reason Nebs worked was because it was a huge space, but the reason it didn't work is because that huge space costs a lot of money. And this is going to be something more sustainable because this is an established place already. Not that Nebs wasn't. I don't really know the full story of the Nebs venue, to be honest. I know it wasn't owned by the Nebs team, so it's kind of similar in that regard. But
yeah, I mean, there is some other stuff going. It was expensive, but it was mainly just the card shop failed as a business, not Nebs.
Right.
But yeah, finding a new venue is really tough. So looking at internet cafes was actually really, really smart by Aziz. But I think like, yeah, I mean, I think that it'll be pretty big. I mean, we'll have to see how the first one runs, but like I'm a staff member there. Like I've been in the back room, like talking about this and like seeing its progress. And it's really tough, like starting up. Like it's way more expensive if you think about like starting up a local. When you need like adapters and chairs and all of that. And so the fact that he got like sponsors like NYXL is good. Obviously, there's going to be need for like a little fundraiser for our community, but I think that I'm not too worried considering, how everyone really wants this to happen.
Right. No, I think that right now all the energy is gonna be really well harnessed. I mean, he's not doing this like he announced it a good amount of time away, so it's not like, oh, in a month it's gonna be opening. No, it's like this week is the first one.
Yeah.
So that's really good, and I think he allowed the rumors to kind of go about so that people were knowing about it. I mean, he had a large team and all that, but
well,
basically
I think
the information was just good to have. Like
yeah,
it's good to know that there was something coming. Like, okay, what's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
Yeah. I definitely think people were starting to get skeptical towards the end, but it just had to wait until everything was set with the sponsorship and all of that. The big thing that I think is the big talking point is actually who comes out to these.
That's the big thing for sure.
So like the big, like just looking back, like there have only been really, in my opinion, 4 players in New York City, like in the New York City area, right? So like Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, pretty much. And like Bronx, but like no one really in the Bronx. But that have been traveling out during this like dead, dark age at NYC Melee. And so that's me, Pax, Leighton, and Nico, or Ryobeat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be really interesting to see who comes back and who's able to. Like a lot of people just didn't travel out, didn't really do anything, went to the NYU locals, which are, also fests in themselves, and those free tournament series is sick, as we've talked about. But like no one's really actually like traveled out. Maybe like 5th place would go to like Nico, and I'm thinking like, of course Cody has to, but he's in Far Rockaway, so debatably Long Island, debatably Queens. But really, that's my opinion on like who's been traveling out to like the Connecticut region, the New Jersey region, to Albany, to whatever. It's really been us 4 that have been like keeping up with it, even if Nebs wasn't. And so I'm actually really curious to see who comes out of the woodwork for this.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to even remember all the players that would go to Nebs on a consistent basis, but there were so many, and there were so many good ones.
I mean, it was like Slox, Animal, Just Jason, Young,
well,
JoJo,
the depth of
Whiskers,
it too, like it literally goes down
G,
so many, like 30 people, 40
EJ.
people are
Yeah,
like you could go on and
Miso.
on. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, we get it. But having this established place is also going to bring people in from Westchester, Jersey, Rockland, Long Island. And on a Wednesday, it's kind of tough. Like we got to see, I'm actually looking to negotiate some time every Wednesday to get off early from work and make this.
Nice.
Because from where I'm standing, it is just, it's a little bus ride and then a couple stops on the subway.
Yeah, that would be sick if you could make it. Are you looking to play or commentate?
Definitely both. Definitely
Nice.
both. It would be really good experience to commentate with DJ Nintendo. He's just such an expert at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be a great experience, but I'm definitely trying to play and get into that local groove again, get into the weekly grind, and have a reason to start playing. I also have a sick monitor myself, so I could go over and just copy the whole layout and have and play from home, on a monitor, so I can get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. There's a lot to look forward to. This is game changing, and myself, like you mentioned that skepticism that started creeping in. I had a little bit of that, not really so much as like it's not going to happen, but I had a little skepticism, like, okay, what are they going to pull together? Like, this is not going to be simple. What's the curveball? What's the one thing that's not going to be seen coming? And the monitors were definitely I didn't expect it like that, because I knew how expensive it is to get all that equipment.
Yeah.
But Hax is not someone to set everyone up with garbage melee. Like, he loves the game too much. He's way too knowledgeable and way too committed to allow this local to turn into something contentious. I mean, monitors made a big splash this weekend at the Arcadian, at Low Tier City, and now this.
Yeah, though I do want to say I don't want to rope those two in together, because they're completely different setups. Like, one is console to monitor, and the other one's strictly Dolphin monitor. So I do want to, like, preface that, you know.
No, that's really important. And probably where the extent of my knowledge is I know that the monitors are if done correctly, and it looks like Dolphin's the way that's done, there's literally no problem. I've played on monitors before, and they were like faster than a CRT, and it bugged me out. I'm like, you need to slow this down.
Yeah, but you can always slow that down. That's a nice thing.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm very much looking forward to it. This has the potential to really revitalize the New York City scene, and in this new age, where we're at as a community, and where the game is at nationally, this might be one of those highly successful locals that people all over the country tune into to see what we're doing. I mean, you look at the PR of this region, it's absolutely insane. We have top 100 players up to 7 to 10, you know, so actually 11. It's nuts. If we get everyone out here, if we consistently keep competition up, there's no reason why we can't get back to those days of 70 plus people locals. Wait, isn't it capped? Just kidding. What's the cap?
It's capped at
64.
64, I think.
Yeah. All right. I mean, imagine, dude. Imagine a local that you had to pre-reg for. Like, get out of here. That's nuts.
Well, trying to pre-reg for it's gonna be tough. That's the hardest thing.
Yeah? Why is that?
Well, because if it's capped, it's first come, first serve on pre-reg, so everyone's gonna probably wait when it gets announced, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's best
good.
case scenario.
Yeah.
He should hold some TPP spots. He should hold like 8 spots for top players only. That's bullshit, but that'd be... Hacks do that. You have enough clout. Anyway, we spent enough time on this. Any final thoughts?
No final thoughts sort of on this topic.
All right, cool. So let's move on. You had a few sessions and a tournament this week. I want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, so like my week's been interesting. You know, had a really good Drug Fox lesson, and then I went to Spectrum, which I did all right in. I lost to Hacks Game 4 and Bambi. And I haven't touched the game like for a week, so I was kind of a little rusty, but I was still playing well enough. Like I almost reverse 3-0 J-Flex in a money match and beat Fable in a money match, so I think I was playing like decently well. Just I think like some of like the in-game decisions were a little slow. And then I had I got a fun one-on-one session with Rishi, which was really good. That was a really good practice. I can't wait to go over the VODs for that. I felt like I learned a lot, but really, like, I don't know, my head's sort of been in another place like this last week and this week actually.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So I'm just going through right now, like I'm 25. I'm thinking of sort of the next steps of what I want to do in a career, and really it's like that, the way that my job's structuring and what I'm doing, I'm like, it's taking more than giving. Like obviously no job's easy, and it's not about that, but it's like getting to a point where it's a little more draining than it is like giving back in terms of energy. And I really want to do, and it's not a job that I could do forever even. So like I'm really starting to think of like the next steps of what I want to do, whether that's something down my degree in like microbiology or something completely different. And so like within the last month I've sort of been thinking about that. And because I really want to do something from 9 to 5 that I really do enjoy. So yeah, so that's sort of been in my mind now, but it's sort of making me, and trying to figure out what I want to do, doing like informational interviews, looking at job positions that are open, and thinking about the future has been really like in the forefront of my mind recently. And so because of that, I haven't been feeling like myself in Melee. I think I'm a little bit scared, to be honest, that like things will change. Like, I have a routine and it's good, but like if I do choose to go to grad school or do something else, I my relationship with Melee will change, and that's really scary for me, actually. I don't think it's not over or anything, but it will need to change, and I don't know if it's on the back burner. I just don't know how much, and I think that's the thing that sort of I'm struggling with right now. I think it's because like right now I feel like I definitely want to move forward with like other aspects of my life, but I still want to keep Melee there, and not even like I kind of don't want to hear like, oh, you could still play Melee even if it's like, no, I still want to like grind, I still want to improve. I just need to figure out like how that sort of will work around this new schedule.
Right.
And sort of like I don't want to just play Melee. I don't want to like not be playing for 2 weeks, enter something, and then feel like a sort of like shell of myself. I want to keep this thing, that's really important to me, because I think it's also really important. Like it keeps me going and gives me a lot of energy. So I think that's one thing that's been on my mind. And I think like especially this week, last week it was a little crazier, but this week I felt like very unmotivated to play or practice or anything. And partially I was like not feeling physically well. I injured my back like right before 4th of July, so that was super annoying. But yeah, really, like I think that I was thinking about this last night, and I think that like because I know things will change, or because I might have to like not play as much Melee moving forward, like, and I don't know how much, like it's hard for me to find a little more motivation than it was like earlier. And so I'm definitely going through this sort of like, I need to get through this, but like, it's tough on the Melee aspect.
Right. Well, yeah, I have a few thoughts on that.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that's gonna kill you what's up?
The last thing is, I think also my feelings at Kumite were sort of linked to this. Like how I was feeling a little annoyed, and like I did well, but like I didn't do well at the same time, and I wasn't happy with my play. I think like it was like partially manifesting like my worries in like outside, like in my career and stuff like that, was manifesting in Melee, like even at that point,
Right.
because I was like, like, oh, like I have to start looking for jobs and doing stuff like after this.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, right now you still have your job and you're looking for other jobs, and those are both very time intensive things. If you want to, obviously you have to put in the hours at your current job, and if you want to find your next career, you have to really commit to putting out applications and showing up to interviews and all that nonsense.
Yeah.
So obviously you're going to be kind of strained, but I think what might be hurting you a little bit is that your Melee habits right now are fairly intensive as well. So what you consider a good session is like 3 or 4 hours. What you consider a good week is 2 to 3 sessions. And so right now you're in conflict of these 3 things. And what I would suggest, I guess I'll start with the suggestion. would be to understand that you can kind of keep your melee inertia going without the same amount of gameplay. So you can just understand that you have to kind of limit the amount of energy going into melee, but just put it in a condensed 20-30 minute practice session solo, or a few games on net play, or something like that. But then go back to what you need to do and let that sit and just let that be what it is. Because if you keep on expecting certain things out of your melee career and your new career, you need to be able to balance both in real time and allow yourself to limit certain things. That also goes into this new job. It seems really stressful to not even know what, like, do you have it narrowed down to what fields you want to go into at least?
I've narrowed it down to like 3 or so.
That's great. That's great. And are those like typical 9-to-5 like jobs?
Some might involve grad school, so
Oof.
it's tough. It's really tough, yeah.
Right.
And I can go into it after, I definitely want to hear more, and I can go into that afterwards.
Yeah, sure. But right now, if you're not even sure if you want to go to grad school or not, you really do have to limit this game, because all the time spent on playing melee right now at this critical time in your life is going to be time you're not thinking about where you want to go, and it's just elongating this process that could take a month. It could take 3 months. It all depends on how much time you put into it. And my suggestion would be to kind of double down on this job search and have that be the #1 priority over everything else. Let that take precedent and take away time from these other things, because in the end, once that's settled, it's not even like once you get the new job, it's just once you understand where you want to go, that's a weight off your chest. And then once you start getting applications out and you start getting the interviews, that's another weight off your chest. And then once you get the job, then you could actually set your schedule. And all through this time, you will feel like you're doing something if you just put in a sustainable amount of practice. I know this is like definitely coming from my perspective. This is what I've been preaching and talking about as what works for me. But that it works for me because I'm trying to go hard in all these other different directions, and it's the only way that I could keep melee from leaving my life, is to just string it along in a fairly low key type of way where I still get my enjoyment out of it. Like when if you commit to 4 hours a week, that's a lot harder than 20 minutes a day. And I think just this is not the time to feel like you have to keep going hard with Smash. I really think that you could kind of dose it out a little easier, and it'll make it easier on yourself, and it'll help your melee career long term. That's at least where I'm coming from. Like, it's more about your mental health and your own stress levels than it is about your gameplay.
Yeah, because I've definitely been noticing, like, when I'm stressed and stuff like that. So, like, that's definitely been... Yeah, it's definitely just been on my mind. I think, like when I think I know what I want, actually, but I'm not really too sure, so... Like, I'm still just trying to figure it out. Like, the other thing is, like, if I want to go to, like, grad school. So I'm sort of, like, taking this leap of faith about what I want to do for the rest... not for the rest of my life, but, like, at least for the next few years. Right. Sort of, like, the really tough thing. And, yeah, like, I know Melee will have to go to the back burner, and it's, like, better. But I think that, like... Yeah, I think, like... I don't want an excuse for me to, like, still try to improve in, like, at my own stuff like that, Like, I think there are that, like, I could be more efficient, like, practicing, like, every day and, like, chopping it up into, like, these like limited time sessions for sure is like one of them.
Right.
So I guess we'll see. I mean, with the Hacks local coming back, there will be at least a local I can enter like every weekend and stuff. So we'll see.
How far is it from you, by the way?
It's pretty close. Like it's like 30 minutes via public transport.
It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Like, I think it's really important for you to kind of allow this to be what it needs to be, because it's all temporary. It could all change, and it's easier to put it back and do it small, consistent chunks, and then bring it back to the forefront than it is to keep on trying to hold all of your all your grapes at the same time. That didn't make any sense. That's an analogy now. But if you just allow yourself to focus on the one thing that's going to give you the most relief once it's resolved, because Melee is never going to be resolved. It will never be cured. It will never be finished. So allow yourself to like really zoom out on the macro of this, and realize that the sooner that you get your next stage of your life figured out, the sooner your Melee will be better and be able to be a priority again. Even if you go to grad school doesn't mean Melee's over. That's a fallacy. That makes that doesn't have to be the case, because however your schedule is lined up, you have a little control over it, and you could squeeze in tournaments and whatever you need to do. However, I mean, it's hard to really tell what it's going to look like, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be possible. So just try not to stress out too much about it, and allow Melee to take a back seat if it needs to be. I mean, I still don't really know your situation completely. I don't think anyone ever will. So this is ultimately your decision, but that's just where I think it'll be best for you.
Yeah, I guess I just want to avoid falling the hole of complacency. But yeah, I definitely know, like, even internally, that Melee will take a backseat, though it definitely is honestly terrifying. But like, yeah, it's just I think the fact that, like, yeah, I don't want to get complacent though. Like, if I have less time, then I have less time. But I think getting complacent and like trying to like say like, oh, like it doesn't, I don't want it anymore, or like, oh, it doesn't mean, like, I don't want to like forget, like try to convince myself otherwise, and I think that's the important thing.
Right. And you could hold on to that fear, because that seems like more of a motivating anxiety than it is a shutdown anxiety.
Yeah, exactly. I just I think the lack of motivation just came from me worrying about like ifs and buts and all of that this week. So I finally like touched the controller again today, like this morning, and I felt good. So we'll see. Oh man.
Well,
yeah.
Cool. I hope that talking it out helped a little bit.
It did a bit, yeah. I still think, like, I don't know. I think I'm still like a little bit in my own head about it, to be honest.
Well, the best thing to do is just set up more interviews, send out more applications. Just literally put your time into that, because there's no diminishing returns in job search. Like, you can just endlessly look for opportunities. Look at, like, there's so much more to get out of it that dumping your time into it would really help out. And at the end of the day, you could be like, all right, I did a lot of work today trying to figure my life out. I can play some Melee. I can invite someone over for a few hours, and not feel like you're in the middle of two things at the same time and guilting yourself every time you're doing something.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing, just do it and allow yourself to be okay with it. And that not everything has to be an opportunity cost calculation. It's just what you have to do right now.
Yeah, that's true. I think I definitely need to see like the bigger picture for sure.
Plus, you're too much of a fiend to let it go. That's like established.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think it's just yeah. I think the other portion we didn't talk about is like trusting myself, and I've definitely noticed that like in the last few weeks, even like when I try to improve, like I always look outwards for like improvement rather than like inwards,
Mm,
and I think I have trouble. I think there's like a definitely a confidence issue in sort of trusting myself to just be able to see things out, you know, which is why I think I alternatively like fiend a lot, you know.
right.
So I think like that's like a big thing also is just seeing, yeah, just seeing that, you know.
Well, when was the last time you had a like extended stretch of solo practice, and then, well, when was the last time you had a long stretch of solo practice without a tournament or playing someone else?
Back in upstate, dude.
And did you see improvements then?
I mean, I was a lot dumber as a player, so you know, I think yeah, I did, but like you that was like my first year and a half into
Right,
melee.
right. So that's like the only time. Well, since you became a good player, you haven't had a stretch where you had to just rely on yourself.
Yeah.
And
That's what's scary also about it, you know.
yeah, but there it doesn't have to be. Like if you
Mhm.
reframe it as like, okay, this is going to be a new type of practice, um, and that is an opportunity for you to like start drilling all the time. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this, this, and this for half hour. You could even make it an hour. You know,
Mhm.
you could say an hour a day and really give intense, strong practice without relying on anyone else, without traveling anywhere. And if you cut all that time out that you spend finding the practice or going to the tournament,
Mhm.
then you can improve different parts of your gameplay that fit into your life better and still give more. Like that's more than triple the amount I bet most melee players would put in. An hour a
Yeah.
day is a lot. So if you really feel like you don't want to drop melee, just okay, I just say to yourself, I can't afford to spend all this time traveling or getting people to my apartment or spending 4 hours a day, blah blah blah. I want to find a new job. I need to look into grad school opportunities, all this.
Mhm.
But melee practice is still really important. So let's just focus on that. You could even do half hour, you know, you could still do VODs. You could still do Drug Fox lessons without needing a tournament. And I promise you, if you put that time in solo, especially because you haven't really
Done it.
done that yet,
Yeah.
um, I promise you, you'll see improvements. Like absolutely, and then you'll gain the confidence of okay, I don't need to be in a specific place or with specific people to get this good practice.
Mm.
I think that's important.
Yeah,
Um,
that's definitely something that I'm like that I haven't done in a while. So we'll definitely see how that goes. I definitely like what you're saying actually, and it's sort of funny because I you know the drug box list I just had a lot of the homework was actually just going back and like practicing specific situations with like 20xx and stuff. So learning to be like that kind of person is something that like you know I might need to become to keep things going.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
man. It's worth trying out.
yeah, definitely. And then I finally sold my laptop, but once I get my new PC, I'll probably just net play more often, which will make things a little bit easier.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Don't stress, man. You got this.
yeah. It's like half stress wise, and then half like existential, like what am I gonna do with my life dread,
Oh yeah,
which is the standard.
it's
It
more
comes with
that.
territory. It's
I
more,
think
yeah,
I think it's more that because that's scary as shit. I mean, if whenever I feel like I want to leave my job, I get so stressed out that I'm like, I'm just not gonna
yeah,
leave. Good thing I don't hate it yet, but I totally see where you're coming from, and I sympathize, man. I hope you find some clarity soon.
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks. I think, yeah, I mean, like, so what I'm like considering is like, one like, so one is like I have a degree in like mainly in bio, but like specifically like microbiology.
Hmm.
So I was thinking like brewing would be really interesting. That's always been something that's in the back of my head.
That is cool. Holy shit.
Yeah. Another thing that I'm thinking of, and this is like the one I'm like having the most fun like looking up. So I think there's something to say about that. But like, is looking into like performance and sports psychology. So what I want to do is like, so what I'm thinking about there is like, I do love performance and like sports and like, we do it in this own podcast, right? This sort of like mindfulness sort of thing.
Right.
And I think that with that comes this sort of idea, this question of like what makes people do well. And that's something that I'm definitely would be interested in to pursue to pursue as a career pretty much, and like do it either in sports or try to see if I can pivot into like esports psychology, and that would be really cool as well. So like and then like so those are like actually like the two highest, like they're pretty even right now for sure.
Right, that's awesome. Those would be two really cool career paths. Because I'm sure people who work at a brewing company, like the culture there must be pretty cool. Like, I'm sure there's not a lot of uptight people running beer,
Yeah.
So that would be great. Just like getting into a good culture is so good for so many reasons. Even if the job itself is like a little dull, or if it doesn't like stimulate you the same way, like you have these outside hobbies where it's more just about finding the right people and doing and something like that where you're just making stuff. Like that's good for the soul is creating whatever it may be. And so I hope that those don't seem like the easiest careers to find. I'm not gonna lie about that, but that doesn't mean that they're anywhere close to like infeasible, So
Yeah, exactly.
I absolutely believe that those could be your careers, like no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the thing is like I think both of those require a lot of energy to be put in to get what I want out of it. Similar to Melee. So that's going to be the toughest thing.
Yeah.
I think. And I think especially with the Psych 1, grad school is probably the next step, and so that's the scariest of them all.
Right.
But it sort of feels good talking about it. Yeah, I've been holding it in for so long.
Yeah, just make sure you're constantly like letting your emotions flow. And I'm down to talk about this every week until it's resolved. Like, don't feel like you can't.
I appreciate that, dude.
Like, this is more about us than it is about anyone else. Like, this is the place for it. And especially if you're concerned about where Melee is going, I think a lot of people will relate to what you're saying. I think it's pretty universal for the Melee community to think about their outside careers too, and how it plays into all of this, and feeling like okay, if I make these decisions, can I still achieve my goals in this game? Can I still be a part of the community? Can I still participate and compete and practice and improve? It's tough.
It is tough. I think also like we haven't seen it. That's the problem, is that like everyone who's gotten good that has a job was already good, before they got the job. I think that like no one's done it in tandem, and I definitely want to see if I can do that. Like I want to see if I can blaze that trail, because I think Melee still is really important to me for a lot of reasons, but part of me definitely is like that's one of my like other goals, is to see if that sort of thing can be done, because we haven't.
What about Dreffen?
That's true.
Like he's been good for a while, but he's a family. Of course he has a job.
Yeah, no, I know he has a job. I mean, like, but was he already good by the time he got? That's the question, I think.
Well, it doesn't matter. Like he wasn't.
I guess he keeps on getting better. You're right.
Yeah, it's like his career is a long tail career.
That's true.
He never it doesn't seem like he's a dude who had to sacrifice everything and live on a couch and do anything extreme. He just kept playing because he loved the game.
You're right.
Kept showing
I totally forgot about Dreffen. He is the best example for this, especially with like Summit.
Right. Like
Yeah.
he reached the peak. No pun intended. Like he straight up got to where he is on a very slow and steady
Pace.
career path. And I'm from what I know of him and from my interactions with him, he just enjoys the journey, man. Like he just loves playing.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's your end goal, if your end goal is to reach any sort of place by any sort of time, then you're right. You're going to have to sacrifice a lot in the short term because you can't have it all.
Mm-hmm.
But if your goal is to seriously like look at this as I want to be amazing in 2021, or I want to keep on being a threat for the next 5 years. This kind of goes into my talk with Malachi a little bit with Mog, because his goals were very were not tangible goals necessarily. They were just he goes, I want to be a threat for the next however many years. I want to just consistently be a tournament threat and be someone that people respect and be part of this higher level of play for a long time. And I think that gives him a lot of peace of mind when he needs to make certain decisions. Gives him perspective on all the different ups and downs. There was a lot that I learned from him from that conversation, and there's a lot of good to come from zooming out and from looking at the long tail career. And Dreffen is I think a pretty good example of, because most players that we think of like got good in college, so
yeah, that's where my head's at for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely you're definitely like right. It doesn't come from career people most of the time, but it doesn't mean it has to, because there's nothing deciding what makes a good player.
Yeah.
As long as you just stay in it, then you're gonna just keep improving and keep getting to that level you want to get to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
So do your thing, man. Like, get your money. And get your money in a way that, I swear to God, this is just a hurdle, but once you get over it, it will, once you find a job that gives you energy, like you said, like, I think you already have all the pieces. I think you're just doubting that, you're second guessing that they go together.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So don't, from like using your own words, like from what I'm hearing from you, you really have a lot less to be afraid of than you think.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have the right goals in mind. You have the right reasons to want a new job. It's not like you're looking to get more money. It's not like, oh shit, I gotta go get my my MBA so I could start making $100,000 a year so I could blah blah blah. Like, you're absolutely in the right field of thought, and I think you're overestimating how much effort it takes to remain in the same skill level and improve. It takes a lot less than you think to keep on climbing up.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not going to be scaling a wall. You're going to be taking a 3-mile hike that zigzags up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting few months, while I look into this. But yeah, no, this definitely helped a lot, especially that last section. Oh, yeah, dude.
You'll be all right, man. I have faith.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Also, no one's wanted to like fest this week, so I've been tight. But yeah.
Oh, boo-hoo. I haven't fested in like 2 months.
Dude, I don't know how you can live that life. Yeah.
Huh? I don't know.
2 months? Damn, dude.
When was the last fest? It was a while ago. No, I went to the beer dojo the day before Kumite.
Oh, it's nice. Yeah, that's true.
Was that kind of
and the beer dojo's dead now, so that's gonna be interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They moved. The lease ended.
Wow.
They dispersed like Dragon Balls.
Wait, I literally went there 2 days before they.
Yeah.
Am I bad luck? Is it my fault?
What? Yeah, I know. The building burnt down, dude. Building burnt down.
Oh my god, I shouldn't have left all those joints near the flammable wood.
Yeah.
That's my
No,
bad.
we've known it was gonna die for like the last 2 months.
That's wild. I was one of the last people in the beer dojo.
Yeah.
Thank God. I would have been so upset if I never got to go.
Yeah, dude. I'm glad you got to go.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. I also like. Yeah. I think. Oh man, dude. Yeah. Like. Um. Hold on. Oops. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. I definitely want to play Melee. I want to like. Oh, dude. There's just so many things like that I want to do. Like I was talking with Flinchy also about like trying to pick up Eunice. Eunice is a really fun game, but I don't know if I can. Eunice was one of the games that replaced Melee for Evo, but it's like pretty much the new Melee. It's like a traditional fight, like anime fighter game, but it's like it's had a grassroots community. They've never had major things, and then now Evo shows up, and they just hit like 1,000 entrants for Evo.
Oh wow, how do you spell this?
Unist, UNIST, and it's really good because it promotes aggressive play. It's like really technical and difficult. It's, you know, the mechanics are sick. You know, the characters are actually like really unique. It's really not like any other game. It's actually a super sick game.
Oh, it's a 2D fighter though, right?
Yeah, it's a 2D.
Gotcha.
But Melee as the grassroots community, you know, and you know, they just hit 1,000 for Evo, so it's kind of cool. And this thing where they promote aggressive, so you have this like gauge in the bottom, and like you lose it backwards.
Oh, I'm looking at it right now. That's sick. So
yeah.
Oh wow.
So
that's a great mechanic.
Yeah, and then that lets you these like, I don't really know too much, but like do these like burst sequences and like, you know, do some crazy shit. But like, what's
Bro,
cool
you
about
did
it?
not have time to get into this game.
Dude, I know.
That was not the time.
I know. That's the problem. Yeah. I definitely think I'm gonna watch more of it though. I played like a few hours with like Bird Up and Phil and Jesse Hertz. Like actually. Ryan K actually is grinding this game, and Delvey. So it's actually really interesting. And Iram, actually, they're all grinding this game.
I imagine we just Melee players just infiltrate this.
The Unis scene. Yeah. Just let me if they can convert it to GameCube controller, then sure.
Oh yeah, these guys are playing on like PS2 controllers right now or something.
Yeah,
that guy's a fight stick. That guy's a controller. Okay.
Yeah, it's a mix. It's a mix depending on the character, I think. But yeah, definitely check it out. You're right though that I gotta like keep my focus on a few things for sure.
Yeah, just don't overextend. Just take your priorities. Cut a few of the real low hanging ones. Keep your exercise and your diet up. And
that's the other thing. I need to exercise more. I haven't been able to with back injury, so
right.
I think that's why I've been feeling kind of low energy as well.
Yeah, try to get your walks in at least.
You're right.
It's something I've been trying to work on too. Now that my commute's longer, it's harder to get to the gym in the morning. And that stuff piles on, man. Like once you get out of that, it really affects the other parts of your life in ways that you just don't see until you're a few weeks out and you're like, oh shit. And I'm like, this is why I don't have energy. Like if you focus on that, if you make that your number one priority, everything else will fall in line. You'll create the energy, but
yeah,
you got an injury, so you're excused.
Yeah.
Anyway, I kind of want to follow up.
Yeah.
Make it about me.
Yeah, that's definitely. Yeah, no. I mean,
pressure off you.
Thank you. Yeah, no. I want to follow up because we left you on like a little bit of a cliffhanger last episode.
Right. Yeah. So basically, that was a pretty strange experience. Obviously, it was very introspective and not the most pleasant thing to talk about, but it felt really important, and it felt like there was a lot of stuff I was trying to figure out at the time I was talking about it. And so I'm happy that we got to have that conversation because it kind of helped me realize where I was at, I guess emotionally, but also just career-wise. where my energy was going, where my efforts were. And it helped me put things into perspective too of what opportunities I really had.
Mm-hmm.
And right after that, I started to work on that article for Dignitas. And right now it's completely obsolete because it's about how there's no locals in New York City. I submitted it. 2 days later, Hex comes out with that, and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ! Like, this article makes no sense now.
You just have to pivot it, but I guess that's what's up with writing, you know?
Yeah.
Comes with the territory.
Right. I definitely need to revisit it and be like, hey man, like, let me redo this last section at least. But that also gives a little more oomph. It gives a lot more context as to the new local, and I think it makes that event happening makes the article a lot more appealing, a lot more interesting. So I think it's a blessing in disguise. It's going to take a little bit of work, but boo-hoo, I'll get over it. I'll just do the work. So that's cool. And that was a good source of my effort. It was a bit of a challenge. It wasn't the type of writing that I'm used to. I'm not like a journalistic writer. I'm a lot more just, train of thought, what's going on in my head, which is very easy. It's once you get over the emotional side of it, it's not hard to just write what's going on in your head, but it's difficult to craft a story and bring other meaning to it, have a through line, have a thesis, all that stuff. So it was a good experience for me to kind of to go through that and put my focus on. Also, my job has been a bit different. My 9 to 5, where we've had someone else come in to the office, and this might seem unrelated, but really, like, the culture of the office changed so much with this new guy, and I've been able to train him on a daily basis. And due to the nature of my job, it's always new things. It's always like, we're a small company, so we all kind of wear so many hats, and it's been kind of refreshing and confidence boosting to go over all of these different aspects of running the company and showing myself that I've come so far and I've learned so much, and I'm a very competent worker. It feels really nice to be the person training someone else, and having them kind of, relate to it. And like, he told me that he liked when I trained him, and we get along pretty well. We have a lot in common. He's a very just like chill guy, and with 3 people on the team total, one person being a great addition is huge. And so that's like obviously 40 hours out of my week. That's a big mood changer. So that helped a lot too, is just kind of like having this other side of my life start going pretty smoothly, and to gain some confidence out of just where I'm at, and knowing that I'm 2 years, coming up on 2 years at this job. I've actually gotten somewhere with it, so that helped too.
That's awesome, dude.
So it's really these like other things that are kind of helping me. Oh, I also got I realized that the tournament next week,
Defend North, yeah,
Defend
congrats
North.
on the spot.
Yeah, so I got the top 8 commentary spot. If I don't make top 8, which I think I might be seeded to. So that'll be interesting. We'll see how that goes. I got Ipengu to be the other co-commentator, which is like,
oh, that's crazy. That's
super sick. Yeah.
What didn't happen at Kumite because of his jet lag?
Right. So now,
thank goodness, considering the audio difficulties.
Yeah, it would have been anything anyway. But it's really cool to have the opportunity to actually go and compete, and then hopefully, I mean, I'm really, me and the stream runners, we got that inside knowledge. I guess it is all about networking anyway, but I think they're gonna hook me up with the treatment of playing until I'm out and then commentating, which would be like best case scenario. That's like TPP out of this world. But Defend the North is like, a big event, and there's some good players going. It's not, I think there's less than 100 people entered, so it's not like I'm commentating a major at all, but this is a really good step. If I get to do it with Ipengu, we have a really good. We've commentated before together, like we've hung out and chatted, and he's great at what he does. So it's going to be a really good opportunity to maybe fill out a reel, and start improving my legitimacy in the scene and as a commentator. Then who knows? Maybe this is the start of actually getting some great spots.
That's awesome. So do you think? I always had questions about like your view on like commentary and stuff like that. If you don't mind me like digging a little deeper, right?
Absolutely.
So like you love commentary and you love like, you know, content creation, and you love like doing stuff, you know, doing a lot more, actually, like being a lot more involved in community than actually I am, you know, like
That's debatable.
I mean, one could argue, I guess.
You literally hosted a tournament in your house.
That's fair.
Get out of here.
Okay, anyway, just back to it though. Like, so it looks like you're definitely pursuing more commentary, like, moving forward as well, and you're getting good gigs for it. Like, you're getting regional level gigs for it. I mean, even if Defend the North isn't, like, big for Melee, it's actually a really big, very notable event in the FGC, like, scene, right?
Right.
And so, I guess what I'm wondering is, are you going to step up on, like, working on commentary? Like, are you going to, like...
Great question.
Do self-commentary? Like, I know we've teased about, like, even if you don't get a commentary spot, if you're that guy that does Facebook Live, you know, stuff at majors, like, that's a really easy way to get notoriety, honestly. You know, being that guy that's like, oh man, like, Albert HBox, it wasn't on stream. Well, let me get the last 2 games of it, you know?
Right.
Like, or are you gonna do, like, the Sajam route where you, like, or, like, even what kind of... Like, okay, I'll just list them out. Like, what kind of commentators do you, like, what kind of commentator do you want to be? Like, are you going to do, like, are you doing content creation? So, like, doing, like, going back and doing, like, Twitch streams of, like, your commentary review, or, like, commentating other matches, like, commentating over it, you know? Or are you going to, yeah, like, those are my big ones, you know, I guess.
Short answer, long answer. Short answer, no.
Yeah, okay.
And it's not a dismissive no. The long answer is I already feel like I am doing a good amount to become a good commentator. So I think this podcast is a really good example. Mm-hmm. It is not the same as commentating at all. Obviously, Melee is a game that, you know, it's very fast paced, and to commentate is, depending on who you ask, bringing the game and the importance of the match to an audience, and channeling the emotion of the players to the audience, and bringing all of the pieces of the tournament into one highly enjoyable experience. So a podcast is more of, you know, for our own feelings and our own thoughts, but the speaking part is something that, and speaking into a microphone and talking to someone else, I've felt considerable gains since we started the podcast, and that is something that's going to translate to commentary, and something that I think has. I haven't commentated in a while, but I already feel like that aspect of it is improved.
That's awesome.
And outside of that, I'm still doing improv weekly with a team that is, it's not like a fully formed team. We're still pretty new, but we had we did the classes together. We came out, and now on a weekly basis, when everyone is around, we hire a coach, and we hire or we rent a room, and we do improv for 2 hours. And that's something that I'm just not letting go of. It's too fun. It's too beneficial for me to replace it with anything. But the skills in improv are listening, responding, adding, and being present. And those skills will help my commentary out.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I'm also planning on going to I guess it wasn't a complete no, because with this local, I'm 100% going to make that a priority to go to
That's
play
awesome.
and to commentate. So my skill as a player, and this is a debate I don't really want to get into, but I firmly believe that getting better at the game makes you better at commentary. It
No,
uh,
yeah.
it allows you to.
Sense.
It's like an MMA commentator. I think Joe Rogan is so good because he does the podcast. He learns how to speak. He's done performance things for so long, and he practices actively. He's an MMA fighter, or he at least does jujitsu and all the different aspects of that. So my projection for myself is to keep on doing these things that will improve my skill, and not necessarily my standing, but in a way that is enjoyable and sustainable for me. And so maybe in the future, once, right now I'm not trying to stream. It's not going to work for me. So that's kind of off the table for now. And content creation, this podcast is scratching that itch. And if I were to try to push forward, it would feel like whenever I want to make a video next, I'm just going to make it because I want to make it, not because I feel like it's going to improve my career as a commentator. I'm kind of answering a bit too long.
No,
I started
I think
off with the short one.
Well, no, I think this is great because I never get to hear your side of that. Like we talk about like where we want to go and what we want to do. So like, and commentary is still a big portion of your life, and you're getting like crazy gigs for it. Like, I mean, like granted you couldn't make Omega, but Small 3 is one of the most iconic regionals like this year for our scene. And you were top 8 there. Both
Right.
as. And then also same with, Defend the North is a really big institution. So that's great. And Smashed Out is good too. Like, so.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me, and this is probably the big, walnut that needs to be cracked.
All right.
I'm doing some weird analogies today, all food related. I think I'm hungry. But I think the big step for me is actually creating a highlight reel or a commentating reel and start actually applying to majors.
Yeah.
Because I think I've just put it off for so long. I've just been making excuses and putting up my own barriers for it.
You think it's time?
I think it's time. Maybe the first one I'll apply for is Big House and see, because I'm planning on going to that again. But realistically, it is. I think I'm qualified. I think I'm good enough now, and. I'm not going to know unless I put my whole into it. So
yeah, those are the big leagues for sure.
Yeah, and so I think that's been a goal like since I've started. Like just getting a commentary spot for pools would be so big for me. Like I'd probably get really emotional and do one of those sappy Facebook posts that everyone likes doing, but I can't get to that point unless I actually put myself out there. So I know I have the clips out there. I know I have enough credentials. So I'm glad you brought it up because this is something I need to come to terms with. Like that's the next step.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, the reason I was asking, and I thinking back, I said it in a very Will way,
Okay.
where like I phrased it in my head that made sense, but I obviously we think very differently as we've learned over this podcast.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I guess my ultimate question was like, yeah, like when are you gonna double down on this? Because you've been like putting in work, but I haven't actually seen you like say anything on what you want, which is the what I found really interesting.
I'm just very content with. I think I put a lot of faith into the longevity of the scene, and I know that if I just keep on steadily improving my skills surrounding commentary and get in at the right time, like I think there's no such thing as getting into it too late at this point. Like for real, I think if I got my first major spot in in a year from now or 2 years from now,
you'll still be fine.
I'll still be fine. I do
Very
100%. I swear to God, I think getting in too early is detrimental.
Yeah.
I think like if not saying I would get the spot, but I think that going for it when I'm not ready is a worse thing than being a little too hesitant. Now, I don't want to be hesitant for the wrong reasons. I want to be logical about this and actually have it make sense that I'm waiting. But right now, I think I've reached the point where I'm not waiting because it's the right move. I'm waiting because I'm afraid, frankly.
You know, Daigo has a quote like that, actually, which I can't find right now, and I'm not going to try to find it, I promise.
Okay.
But it's like, it's talking about, like, holding, like, waiting, you know, sometimes being put in the spotlight too early is a bad thing. And that if you just wait a little bit longer when you're more ready, you won't get, like, swept up by it.
I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm reaching the critical juncture. And so, look, just applying to Big House doesn't mean I'm going to get it. I honestly probably won't. And so maybe I haven't really lost anything except for a little bit of disappointment by not applying. Like maybe I've made the best decision by not applying, but maybe I've missed out on, like maybe I could have got the shine spot since I did Small 3, you know, like who knows? Seriously, who knows? And I'm not going to dwell on if I've made a mistake or not. All I'm going to try to do is keep doing the things I enjoy that I know improve my skills as a commentator, which is playing the game, doing this podcast, and doing improv.
That's awesome.
And, yeah.
It seems like you have your plan. Now, you didn't answer one question, and this is a really short one. What type of commentary are you leaning to? Like, what am I looking for when I hear you on the mic?
What a question, dude. This is something that I don't know I'll understand until I've been doing it longer.
We can table it then.
I'll leave it at this. I want to find my voice.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome.
All I want.
That's awesome.
I don't know what that is, but I want to find it. Whew. All right, this was a big one.
This was a big episode.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. This is like the aftermath, you know, like we had that really crazy episode last time, and then this is the fallout, you know?
Well, yeah, but now you're having your kind of time is a lot of introspection, and that's not a word. Introspectiveness, that's the word.
That's the word. You know English.
Man, I'm beat. I'm also pretty hungover. So I can't believe we went long. Any final thoughts? Anything before we go?
No, man. I just can't wait to do this. This again next week. You know, and again, great shit. I haven't listened to it, but I can't wait to listen to the 1v1 interview you did with Mog. That sounds really interesting.
I want to do so many more 1v1s. Like they're so fun.
Yeah, no, we're definitely gonna be doing more of it. And in the upcoming one, a little sneak peek is. Have you done it yet with the kid?
Not yet.
Yet? Okay, so I don't say anything. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, man.
Talk to you later.
Appreciate the time, and we'll talk later.
Yeah. Oh, good shit. Garage sailing.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm writing a blog about that. Let's not talk about it.
All right, fine.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
All right. Later.